Hello, peace be on all. Assalamu alaikum. You're listening to Moel. So in this video, I would like to discuss if AI can possess consciousness, and the main man to go to is a philosopher of the mind by the name of John Shirley. Okay, and he asked the question: how does consciousness, something that is spiritual, not physical, and not an illusion, because he calls these type of claims appalling. Okay, so conscious not an illusion. Uh, it's not something that is like a computer in the mind, computer within computer with a computer. There is a computer in the brain, a component that allows us to have it. No, it's something that is spiritual. This is what he says pretty much. So how can something that is basically spiritual, metaphysical, immaterial move the material, like our physiology, for example, our physicality, our body? Okay, so this is what he says: there is a sequence of neurons firing, and they terminate where the acetylcholine is secreted in the axon end plates of the motor neurons. Once this takes place, a lot of wonderful things happen in the ion channel, and the damn arm goes up. This is what he says. Okay, so one and the same time, there is a level of description that is neurobiological, which is what I just said about the acetylcholine, which is a compound in the nervous system, which is pretty much the neurotransmitters. Okay, so this is all from the top of my head, by the way. And at the same time, there's another level of description. At the same time, there is another level of description that is basically mental, which is touchy, feely, spiritual qualities. Okay, so this is what he says. So we can describe consciousness, how it works causally. Okay. Now, can AI possess consciousness? That's the question that everyone is asking these days. Okay, people from Apple, Macintosh, from all these technological institutes, they want to know if basically if we can have a Turing machine. Okay, I think that's the name of it, a Turing machine that can possess consciousness. Okay, like a Terminator, pretty much. Even though he does not have consciousness in the movie, the movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger in it, Terminator cannot feel how it's like to touch velvet, cannot feel how it's like to love, and cannot even feel or sense the smell of coffee in the morning. Okay, Terminator is just a robot without consciousness, but it's not even a strong AI. Okay, and basically this is the question that everyone is asking in this day and age. Okay, and I'll get to that in a bit. But here is his argument called the Chinese room argument. Okay, implemented programs are syntactical processes. Implemented programs are syntactical processes. Minds have semantic content. Syntax by itself is neither sufficient for nor constitutive of semantic. Therefore, implemented programs are neither constitutive for nor sufficient of minds. What does that mean? It means that strong AI cannot have minds. Okay, cannot have mind, so they cannot possess consciousness. Why? Because first of all, this machine, okay, when it's built based on these mechanics, the mechanical components, like a hard drive, motherboard, CPU, and so on, they basically all that can do is detect. Okay, it can only detect through detect symbols through algorithm and form syntax. Okay, can only form syntax, and basically through this binary code that is 011 000 and whatnot, zeros and ones, basically it can produce these type of algorithm based on syntax. Okay, so it doesn't know the semantic, it doesn't understand the meaning, the definition of the terms, you know, because at the same time it does not have intentionality, you know, for it to have consciousness. These type of objects are objects. That's what they are pretty much. And what is intentionality? Intentionality comes with a name and a purpose. You know, when you want to do something, you need a name and a purpose and an intent to do it, you know. And you have to have meaning. You know, you have to have semantic to know what you're basically doing. And this is something only the human being, which is pretty much metacognition, you know. Why do we know and how do we know and all these things, you know. So basically, yeah, AI cannot possess consciousness. And what else have I left out? Hopefully I didn't leave out. But yeah, this is pretty much it in a nutshell. So this, you cannot presuppose physicalism. If you presuppose physicalism, you render yourself as a robot, pretty much. You know, if someone cracks your skull open in half, you're just a rearrangement of atoms. Okay, and this should be considered vandalism, not murder. Why? Because there's nothing intrinsic inside of you, the soul. So what's the point? So that being said, basically, John Shirley, by the end of his lecture, he asks this question. During his time, they had books, okay? They had books on enlightenment, the age of enlightenment, the age of faith, the age of reason. So he asked, what age do we live in today? And alas, the age we live in today is the age of bullshit, okay? People need to wake up, man, honestly. We're not robots, okay? And stop with this atheistic movement. It's nonsense. It's absolutely nonsense, okay? Allah says in the Quran, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإذ قال ربك للملائكة إني خالق بشرا من صلصال من حمأ مسنون فإذا سويته ونفخت فيه من روحي فقعوا له ساجدين. Recall when your Lord said to the angels, I'm going to create a human being made from wringing clay of decayed mud. So when I proportion him and blow or breathe my spirit into him, bow down. That's what Allah is saying in the Quran. So basically, this consciousness that we possess is something metaphysical, from the divine, from the sublime. It's not a physical processes. It's not through physical processes. So, John Shirley calls it a biological phenomena, okay? Now, John Shirley is the main man to go to, but I wouldn't define it that way, because it's not through biological processes. Maybe, like, I don't know what he means by biological phenomena, but it's definitely not through physical processes. It's something that emerged from something that is metaphysical, and that's Allah, okay? It's something mystical at the end of the day, what consciousness is. If it's not mystical and you want to say, oh, look at this guy's talking about some spooky dooky stuff, you know what I'm saying, or whatever you want to call it, okay, then you're a robot, bro. You're a robot. Or you might as well call it an illusion, you know, call consciousness an illusion, like Dan Dennett, which, by the way, John Shirley finds it appalling, calling consciousness an illusion. That's explaining consciousness away. It doesn't give us any, it doesn't give us an explanation of what it is. Conscious emergence, the hard problem of consciousness, okay? So yeah, this is pretty much it. We live in the age of bullshit, excuse my language. People became materialistic, physicalistic, naturalistic, you know? It's nonsense. We're more than that, okay? There's something intrinsic inside of us, you know? And that's the soul, okay? So, like I said, if someone cracks someone else's skull open in half, it's just a rearrangement of atoms. Under physicalism, there's nothing intrinsic. So when you're at the funeral, for example, and you're crying, okay, you're shedding tears because someone died, bro, it's just some bosons and fermions, you know, causing all these chemicals firing, neurons firing, and all of a sudden tears come out of the eye, you know, and then come on, man. If you want to rationalize it under such worldview, it's senseless, pointless nonsense. Why are you being emotional? He died. He's going to be Warren Buffett. I mean, if anything, you should be happy that he's done with this life. You know what I mean? But some atheists, no, it's a beautiful life. But why? Why are you so? What is beautiful about it? Under atheism, naturalism. Because you're enjoying it through the consciousness that God gave you, which is spiritual. And this is why Terminator, for example, Terminator 1 and 2 and 3 and so on, all these movies they made with Arnold Schwarzenegger in it, Terminator has no consciousness. Okay, he has no consciousness. He's not a strong AI. He's a weak AI, even though he's equipped, equipped technologically with heavy machinery, and he can basically kill, he can terminate, and not just with a gun, in a fight as well, because it's a killing machine, But he's a weak AI because he has no consciousness. And a lot of people are confused. They think Terminator is a strong AI. He has consciousness. He doesn't. He doesn't know how it feels like to love. Okay? What is love under physicalism, naturalism? He doesn't know how it feels like to touch velvet. Okay? He doesn't know how it feels like to smell coffee in the morning. And you want to tell me that we can actually have robots? This is the question that John Shirley posited, okay? This is the question. He says, can we create a heart, an artificial heart that can pump blood? Yes, we can, because this is the functionality of the heart. It pumps blood. But can we create a brain that can produce consciousness? Because they assume that the brain its functionality is to produce consciousness. The question is perhaps possible. According to John Shirley, it's possible biologically. Okay? But not through mechanics. Not through mechanics. Okay? Because, there are no Turing machines in nature. So it's not science. It's part of the discipline, which is engineering. It's not part of science. You get what I'm saying? So can we make a robot basically, made out of mechanical parts? Can we make him? And not biological, by the way, just mechanical solid objects. Can we make a computer based on these parts with consciousness? This question is unknown. We don't know if the question is a valid question. Matter of fact, this is all according to John Shirley, and he's the philosopher of the mind. He's the main man to go to, and I'll leave it at that. But just keep in mind, due to this atheistic phenomenon, a lot of people have lost their marbles, and they actually think like people in Apple, for example, people who nihilistic people. I've met a lot of nihilistic people who think that we can actually manufacture a robot with consciousness. People who have lost their marbles. This day and age is the age of bullshit indeed. And I'll leave you at that. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.